Hey everybody, it's Dan. I'm going to be doing some paintovers. Maybe one, maybe two. Depends how it goes. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. I'm going to get to it. This was a piece that was in art camp by, oh god. Hold on, let me grab the name. I want to make sure I get the person's name in here. But yeah, I took a quick look at it before I came on here and saw a couple things I wanted to address. This is a piece by Wax and Wings. Got it, Wax and Wings. The post didn't say what it was, but I can kind of tell from the file that, the file's name is Summoner, so I'm going to go ahead and credit that way, basically. Immediately, the first things I thought of when I looked at it, based on the palette, let me take my grid off. I made a grid here. This is the piece. Immediately, the first things I thought of when I looked at it was this Frazetta painting of the conjurer dude over here. The same color palette, same basic idea, pulling this creature out of the flames. And then the other thing I thought of was the scene in Fantasia where that demon dude, Cherna Bog, I think his name is, he shows up on top of the mountain and he, summons the flames and it's all spooky and all that stuff. So I'm going to be critting it, pulling a little bit from those two things and also pushing the ideas that you had in here based on, your own stuff you wanted to do. First thing I did was, because this is a piece that's about kind of towering massive size and power and this monster's supposed to be so big and impressive, instead of splitting it into thirds and making a very balanced piece like you would with a character design or a portrait, I split this into fifths. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is similar to, if anyone's ever seen, I'm just going to grab it. If anyone's ever seen the portrait, the famous portrait of Henry VIII, this is basically the idea. This is a compositional thing that, you want to keep in mind if you ever have to do a character like this. But Henry VIII commissioned a portrait towards the end of his life of him, and the artist depicted him this way. And as you can see, it's very close cropped to the character, but it serves a very important purpose. The reason that Henry wanted to be portrayed this way, the reason the artist chose to portray him this way, is because the entire canvas is full of him. His presence is massive. There's not that much stuff around him. He doesn't feel small. He doesn't feel meek. The close crop and the placement of where his head is and where his eyes are specifically in the canvas, which I believe is on a sixth. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it's pushed way, way, way up, and that's done intentionally to make him feel impressive and massive. So he's kind of towering over you. He's filling that space, and that's intentionally done. If it was on thirds and his eyes were down here, he'd feel very meek. He'd feel very strange. So this big vertical rectangle is very intentional, and using sixths instead of thirds is also very intentional. So keep in mind, you can divide a canvas into halves, fourths, thirds, whatever you want, sixths, sevenths, tenths. As long as you balance the composition based on what you divide it by, it's okay. And this is very much balanced. This is, this is an extremely full piece. So we're going to be doing something similar to this with yours when we look at this demon dude who's, hanging out, coming out of those flames. So I divided into fifths, and then I divided it into halves. 1 second. I'm going to grab some water so I don't lose my voice here. But, yeah. These are just my compositional guides to kind of keep in mind what I'm doing and sort of have a basic anchor point on the canvas for, where I'm going to make the big decisions and place certain things. So I'm going to shut those off for now and get to it. So, first thing I'm going to do is replace this guy right here. I'm going to figure out where I want to put him though. So, first of all, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to place it more on the halfway point. Get him over here. Oh, whoops. Get it over here. Paint out some stuff around it. The other thing I'm going to do, which I'm going to pull from Fantasia, which, you know, I think is a good thing to look at for this, is I'm going to introduce some cool colors so it's not all hot, because right now almost the entire palette's hot, which is fine, but it does make it a little less dynamic than it could be. So, I'm going to move that dude. I'm going to keep him roughly where he is. I might move him in a bit. The big thing I need to figure out is the placement of this body, which is very, very lost because the values are so dark. So dark. If you hear any loud noises, it's because I live on the beach and they're shooting fireworks tonight. So I apologize in advance if anything explodes outside my window and it makes a loud noise on the microphone. So I'm probably going to move this dude down here so his face is on that intersection right there, just so we can see more of it. And I also think I'm going to drop this guy down a bit, because all this empty space down here is kind of unnecessary. I'm going to drop him down a bit to like this fifth pretty much. Actually, the flames in general, I'm just going to take what you've done on the piece, and yeah, I'm just going to move all this down first. That's a better way to start. Grab all this, grab all this, grab all this, all this, all this. That. All right. Oh. All right. Drop this down. Turn my markers back on. Get him here pretty much. A little above it. Paint this out over here, 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 here. Okay, shut these off and keep that dude there. Let me paint this out up here, here, here. Okay, so let me see if I can. I've got a reference I might want to use for this, and I'm going to go grab it. I'm going to go grab it, because I think it'll help. You can hear me puttering around all my references, looking for it. Here it is. Got it. Okay. So again, if anyone has any questions, concerns, things they'd like to talk about, feel free to ask away in the chat. I'm going to take some reference photos and send them to myself, and yeah, this will be interesting. This will be a good experiment. putting up a statue. I'm going to change this dude's pose a tiny bit, but roll with the crit I'm going to give. If you want to change some stuff back so it's closer to the original, feel free. But right now, I am setting up a reference shot. Bear with me. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Okay, so pardon me while I set up these lights, take these shots. Okay, got him. Got him. So if anyone has any questions or stuff they'd like me to talk about, anything at all, feel free to put it in the chat. I'm going to send these messages to myself real quick, and we'll work from those references and I'll show you what I shot. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's start painting. So, I'm going to look at all the pictures I took as references right now with my anatomy model that I set up with a bit of a bleed kind of glow under lighting on top of my computer. I tried to get him a little closer and a little more dynamic than what was in the picture, but again, I'm going to do a paint over based on what I think will make the image stronger. If it's not what you had in mind for the piece, try to use what crits make sense and ignore the other ones. But there should be some stuff in here that's going to help, so keep an open mind. But Yeah, the biggest thing, let's see, which of these is strongest? This one definitely. Close this. Keep that. Close this. Okay, cool. Alright. So, the biggest thing that I had a problem with when I was looking at this piece is that you can't see the dude. He's there, there's fire everywhere, there's all this energy, it's, you know, crazy, magical, and flames, and blah 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 blah, and it's about a dude summoning a monster, and you can't really see the monster at all. A big part of that is that his head is tilted away from the flames, so like his head being tilted away from the flames is basically forcing it into shadow. There's not a secondary light source, so right off the bat he just kind of disappears. Like, I can see that there's a face in there. If you wanted to, you could pose a friend with an accurate light source and actually get the twist in the head and push it back that far and, like, you know, really try to see if you could make it work. But for the purposes of what the piece is, I don't think this pose is necessary, so I'm going to change it a bit and try to make it a little more dynamic and make the dude a little more interesting. So bear with me as I go through that. I'm going to be painting from these shots that I just took. I'm also going to be painting from life, because the dude that I set up on top of my computer is still there, with a light still set up on him. So I'm looking at him in front of me, and I'm looking at the picture so you all can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put this picture up on the artcamp forum along with the painting. So if you decide you want to do this, you can have access to the reference. But yeah, the arm being up I might keep, but for now, let me get in here and just start painting out the basic forms of this guy's body. So basically he's facing the fire. So I'm gonna have the fire really lighting him up like he's a form. It doesn't look like you wanted him to be made of fire, so I'm not gonna make him glow or anything. I'm gonna make him like a silhouette that's kind of coming out of this big explosion. I'm also going to rein the fire in quite a bit because it's sort of everywhere. But yeah. This Rosetta painting is going to be a good... I'm going to pop this on my other monitor so I can look at it while I'm looking at these references here. So hopefully this will start making sense as he begins to emerge as I paint him. So again, if no one has any questions or anything, this might get really quiet really fast. I apologize, but it's a paintover session, so it's alright. Doesn't need to be talking the whole time, but if you do want to ask me something, I am here for you to do that too, so feel free. And try and keep the arm up the way you had it. And again, the best thing you can do... It's too bad Noah's not in here. I'd have him go shoot a reference because he's ripped. Damn it, Noah. Damn it, Noah. They're paying all this money for art camp and they don't even have access to photos of your naked body. What's going on? You guys deserve an exclusive Noah Bradley ripped muscles chest photo set to study from. You deserve it. I said it. Where's the pics, Noah? But anyway. If you have a friend who's got muscles, set up lights and actually take a reference, because you're going to learn way more from it, or paint it from life if they can hold a pose and you want to give them some money for their time spent helping you. But I'm going to bullshit the arm coming forward as best I can and pull the rest of the light from the model that I set up on top of my computer. But yeah. Again, I'm going to treat him like a body emerging out of the flames. So I'm going to have the other arm kind of come down and fall into the shadow over here. Might make his arms a little bigger than human to make him a little more weird looking and kind of primal. So I'm going to extend that forearm a lot. I'm just going to push and pull with this till it starts to look like something that works. So again, apologies. I'm going to lose a lot of the flames as I pare this down to where I think it needs to go. I'm going to do the convenient art trick of, you know, losing the dick, basically. So the flames are going to come up to, like, here, pretty much. Or at least this central flame is going to kind of do that. And then it's sort of going to, you know, just sort of... The flames are going to replace his happy trail, basically. Basically, that's what's going to happen. I'm not kidding. I see people in the chat talking about it. I'm not joking. I think part of the thing that everybody should get with art camp is a Noah Bradley naked body photo set. I think he should hit all kinds of crazy poses, set up all kinds of crazy lights. What an amazing resource for developing artists. I would have killed for that when I was in school. I would have killed for that. But anyway. Let's get his chin in here. So again, if anyone's new to this and they haven't heard me talk about this before, I'll be real annoying and repeat myself like I do every week. I don't pick what I'm going to critique on the forum based on who posted first, or you know who, whatever. I'm choosing them, number one, based on who I think needs the most help with certain things, and number two, based on whose piece can help the most people. Because the way you want to think about paintovers, even if it's not your piece, don't disregard it, because the person painting it might be making a lot of the same mistakes that you're making in your work. So if you see something in this that's being fixed, like for example, using a real anatomy model and setting up lights to really understand how light falls on the forms, you might be having problems with that in your character design or whatever, and just because I'm not critiquing your specific piece, this advice still helps you. So keep that in mind. I'm looking for work that helps the most possible people, because it's unrealistic that I'm going to get a chance to paint over absolutely everybody's work. There's just not enough time, because I tend to do really long paint overs with lots of discussion and stuff. So I'm going to be picking stuff based on what serves the most people, basically. I might not even take all of the stuff I do directly off of the Art Camp forum. There's a piece, off the Crit forum. There's some stuff that I saw in another thread on Art Camp today that I really would like to do a paint over of that wasn't submitted to my paint over thread. So I might just do that, because I said, oh, you know, this is unique. This piece has a lot going on that I don't see in a lot of other people's stuff on here, and, you know, critiquing this might potentially help some people loosen up a bit, try some new things. So there's a very good chance I'll be critiquing that one after this Fire Demon Man, depending how long this takes. So we'll see what happens. I do kind of creep around the forum looking at what everyone's doing, even though it's not on my thread. So these are the immediate things, and you can already see what's kind of happening to the piece. Hopefully, hopefully you see already with just this really quick direct reference and recomposition what it's kind of doing. Everything is just sitting a little bit better. It's reading as a dude coming out of the flames. I'm going to keep going on it though. Let me really get in here. So yeah, having direct reference is really, really beneficial. You know, just anatomy models, accurately proportioned action figures, anything you can set up a light on. I mean, like, if you ever wonder if anyone has James Gurney's books, Imaginative Realism in Color and Light, the reason his environments in Dinotopia look so good is because he builds the environments. He gets clay and boxes and paint, and if it's a temple that looks very Roman and it's built into like a mountainside, he constructs a mountain out of clay, and then he builds the temple out of cardboard on it and paints it to look like the materials it's made out of, and then he shoots his own reference after he sets up lights on it. So he's not really, you know, he's making up the design in his sketches, and then he's making his sketches a reality, and then he's directly referencing the stuff he turns into a reality. And that's why his stuff looks so believable, is because he's literally making it real. That's a totally valid approach, and not a lot of people do it because of the amount of work that goes into it, but you know, the results speak for themselves. When you go that many extra miles, the piece is going to look it. Alright, this is tricky. This is where I do the... This is always the tricky part. This is the crown where the eyebrow comes up, but it's the underside that you never see in portraits because it's always at eye level or tilted down. It's this weird... It's where the skull curves around the eyebrow and comes down into the eyes. And again, you can see the reference I'm using on the side. I'm going to leave it up the whole time. I am also going to do a couple things because, number one, I'm using... These are things you have to keep in mind when you're shooting from references you took. I talked about this a bit the other day when I was ripping apart using too many photos and pulling directly from photo. If I pulled directly from photo over here, the intensity of where the light hits his stomach right here and all through here in the speculars would be as bright as the light hitting his face. And that's not how illustrations work. You want focal points and you want things that are lost to force space. The other thing you got to keep in mind is that I'm shooting this with an extremely bright halogen bulb. And halogen bulbs that are directly next to a reference are infinitely brighter than fire. As a light source, actual fire is pretty dim. It's pretty dim. It doesn't reach very far. You can see it in the distance, but the glow around it, the area that it affects, is actually pretty small. So keep in mind, because, you know, we have a human down here, you know, he's about, you know, 6 feet tall, average human. Then we've got this gap of space, which could be 100 feet or so, and then this giant thing's coming out of it in the distance. This dude could be 500,000 feet tall, you know, like 500 to 1,000 feet tall. It would make sense, depending how far away you want to push him into the background. I'm going to bring him forward a bit and make him probably like 100 feet tall, maybe a little more than that. And the fire is not going to be as bright in the face as it is down here because fire doesn't work that way. Fire's area where the light is, it doesn't reflect off things that are too far away from it. Fire is very dim. So the thing right now is the face is jumping out like crazy, as it does over here. But you want to keep in mind that, you know, you shot the reference with a light that's incredibly bright and right in front of the model. You can't, you know, do a one-to-one copy of that reference because it doesn't make sense for the illustration. It doesn't make sense for the elements that are at play. It's not something that is accurate. So those are things you want to keep in mind when using reference, because it's really easy to get sidetracked into thinking like, oh, you know, my camera, it's 100% accurate because it's a camera, so if it's in the photo, I have to use it. No, because, you know, your illustration isn't, you know, a little plastic figure, which, by the way, is extra shiny because it's plastic, so it's bouncing the light around like crazy anyway. It's a giant dude, either made out of some kind of flesh or stone or something, and he's very far away, and this is fire lighting him. So the elements of the illustration are not the elements of the study. They're very different. You have to treat them accordingly. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a big thing. That's why you can always tell when somebody shot photos if they're using their references wrong. When someone uses their references right, you can't tell if it's a photo or not. When it really is apparent that it's a photo, that's because they're not blending the reference to the scenario of the illustration. They're just dropping it in. That's why there's nothing lamer. There's nothing lamer than seeing fantasy art that's very clearly somebody's friend that they just took a photo of and put, you know, painted armor on. Because people in the real world don't look like the idealized heroes you want to paint in a fantasy painting. You got to change the features of the face, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing exciting about seeing a dude dressed up as a Viking that looks like any guy that I'm going to see at the local Walmart, you know, stocking soup cans. You know, you gotta, sure, it was nice of Greg to come over and pose for you, and, you know, sure, that's a lot of fun and you know him, but you want it to look like the hero. You want it to look like the archetype of the illustration that you're, you know, that you're working on. You don't want to make it look like mundane, real-life person number 5,287 who happens to be wearing, you know, fantasy armor and wielding a sword. Like, you don't want to do that, because it's automatically just reads as, oh, that's definitely that guy's friend, and now this kind of feels lame. It's sort of like those romance novel covers that just get a little too real, and you get into that, like, uncanny valley thing where you're like, oh, this is very clearly a model, and he looks really, really strange, and now this is just kind of a creepy painting. Like, you don't want to do that. Stay away from there. By the way, it's been several days since I did my last set of crits, and I still have Dark Horse by Katy Perry featuring Juicy J stuck in my head. So I don't know what's going on. I think I need a lobotomy. Something's happening to me. I don't know what it is. So I'm going to try and pull something from Fantasia into this, which might work, might not work, but just, you know, basically, it's not really from Fantasia, but Fantasia did do it. You know, if he's orange and red, then blue might be a nice cool color to really pop him out, since he's not going to be backlit by the flames. The flames are in front of him. This bounce light in the back could clearly be blue, and it would work a lot. So, let's see. Again, I'm bullshitting this arm because I don't have a reference. I'm doing the best I can off the top of my head. But, yeah, just a general idea of what it would be doing. I gotta pop it out a bit more because it's not wrapping the muscle the right way. I'm pretty sure Dr. Manhattan does this exact pose in Watchmen. I could probably go grab a screen cap. But hey, I'm not going to do that because you know what? I'm lazy as shit. Alright, let me get over here. This arm, I'm going to take the white out of this because it just feels, it's bleaching it. It doesn't feel hot anymore. It feels like, you know, this color right here. It's not a flame color. It wouldn't, fire wouldn't reflect that way. So again, I'm not going to be painting the values in here directly from the reference. Not to over-explain why, but just keep in mind that this thing's made out of plastic. And it's being lit by a light bulb. And this dude is presumably made out of flesh or stone, and he's being lit by a fire. So you have to treat them differently. A lot more stuff is going to sink into shadow as a result than in the reference. Values are going to get darker quicker. Things like that. I also want, you know, the flames down here to have their own kind of shape, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Trying to see. I think your dude has horns. Might even have wings. I can't really tell. We'll see what happens though. As I keep going with this. So I'm going to be doing a bit of counter change here, if anyone's familiar with their Gurney book. The stuff that goes down into the light is going to get darker because it's going to be a shadow that shows up behind light, because light on light makes it invisible. And the stuff rising up into the darkness is going to get lighter, catching the underlight because it's against black and you want it to pop. Doing those two things will balance the figure. So this hand going down behind the fire is going to get a bit darker as it recedes into the light. And the stuff coming out of the light into the darkness is going to catch a bit more light as a result because it needs to pop more. So that is counter change for anyone who's got their color and light book. I think it's in there. It might be imaginative realism. I'm not sure. Maybe both. And if you don't have those books, I can't recommend them enough. Go get them. Gonna go to Google and type in explosion of flames and see what I find. Just see what I find here. Okay. Alright. Okay. I might pull more from Frazetta than actual fire. I like his kind of spooky magic painted fire more than, like, you know, actual explosions. It feels more illustrated. Feels cooler. Just looking right now. Okay. Okay. Sean Murray's messaging me. I'm going to invite him to come on, but he might say no. Let's see what happens. Cover the nipples in fire. That's probably a good idea. Alright, so I'm going to put my guides on and free transform this dude accordingly because he's getting a little off balance. Tomorrow's Father's Day, everybody. Don't forget. For that significant man who brought you into the world, it's a special day. Make sure you get them something according with that honor and love. For my father, it is homemade peanut butter chocolate no-bakes, as well as white chocolate macadamia no-bakes, because he has a sweet tooth. What did you get your dad? Please share in the chat. This is a PSA that tomorrow, Sunday, June 15th, it is Father's Day. If you love your dad like me, do something special. And for those of you that, for whatever reason, may not have a father, maybe become one. Or if that's a bad idea, celebrate your significant other's father, or a friend's father. Who knows? Find a way. There's something you can do. And if none of that works, I don't know. Watch Taken. It's a movie about a dad that goes overseas to save his daughter. It's a good Father's Day movie. Alright. These kind of mountains in the background, I'm going to light up a bit. Oh, let's see. Trying to get Sean in here. Do I have a live stream subscription? My videos are archived. No, I mean, I have an account. I don't have a premium subscription, though. I save all my videos I do, and I save the ones that I think are worth saving, and I upload them to YouTube. But, yeah. But, yeah. I don't know what premium really gets you other than faster speeds and more storage. But, like, the speeds I have now, like I can't even stream in premium. It takes too much RAM. It like shuts down my computer basically, so I don't even bother. Yeah, having a standard live stream account's fine. It's like I don't know. I've never had an issue with it where I'm like, oh, I need something I don't have. Like it's been pretty good. Yeah, you got to keep in mind the community too. When deciding between live stream and Twitch, Twitch is mostly game people. I'm sure you can do an art stream on there, and it's probably fine. It's just live stream and Ustream, or that's where most of the other people I've seen that do art are. I don't know if that matters to anybody, but yeah, it does seem like there's a bit of a community divide between the two. Tell Sean not to be shy. I'm trying to. He's a beautiful man, though. It's only natural to be shy when you're that pretty. I don't want to scare him off. Sure. Time to call Sean. Hey.
Hang on a second.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah?
Hello?
Hey. What's going on, bud?
Not much. I was trying to do a live stream over on Noah's stream, and there were like 2 people, and one of them was like, my internet keeps going in and out.
You got to give me the info for that stream, because I obviously don't say it now, but yeah, I've been doing them on mine because I have no idea how to log into the other ones.
Yeah, he let me log. He gave me like I think he gave me like a special login or permission to be. I don't know how to get this stuff works.
Gotcha.
It's all computers,
You're a registered administrator on his Netscape page.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds right.
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm doing a paint over this piece, and I'm changing pretty much everything, and I set up my little anatomy dude on my table and set up a light, and yeah.
Oh. Look at that.
Going all out. Let me click the before and after, so you get a sense of where we're going here. So this was the original. You can see there's a dude here. His head's tilted up, his arm's coming out, but he was pushed way up to the top of the canvas. There was all this fire, and then, it's called Summoner, so I assume this person's summoning that dude. But yeah, I laid in some compositional grids, moved some stuff, and here's where we're at.
I'm liking.
Pulling quite a bit from this Frazetta piece that I'm sure you know
of. Which one?
This one right here. I'm pulling it onto the screen. It's the wizard summoning the frog demon.
I like that one.
Frog demon man. And also there's a lot of Fantasia in this, the mountain dude.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I think I did a piece like that
Did
It
you?
was one of my first digital pieces way back in high school.
Take
Let me see if I can
it
pull
up.
it up.
Yeah, I'd love to see. I'd love to see
This will
that.
be this will be a fun sharing moment.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hang on, it's gonna take me a bit to find it. My
that's fine.
archives, my vast archives.
Yes, your infinite supply of what has been and shall be.
See now, I was doing digital painting way back in the early '90s.
I didn't even know they had it in the early 90s.
I know, right? It was this program called Autodesk Animator.
You hear that, guys? Autodesk Animator.
Hey, I found it.
Did you really?
All right, how should I send it to you?
Yeah, send it to me. I want to see it.
Let's see.
I'm going to rip off some Fantasia and see if it works, guys. I'm going to put like a really deep blue in the background to imply that you can still see the night sky. Just because.
El Chapo's asking who's this other jerk talking.
That is Sean Andrew Murray. He's a fellow instructor at the Art Camp, creator of Gateway, the Book of Wizards, worked on all kinds of great projects. Like the Kingdom of Amalur, if you're familiar with that IP. All around great guy.
Aww.
He used to live in Boston. I loved hanging out with him. He left. He's a son of a bitch.
Here, I just sent you the piece on Facebook.
So, I saw you put this on Facebook, so I'm assuming you don't care if I bring it up. How the hell do you keep not getting accepted for New York Comic Con?
I don't know.
Like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand at all.
I think it's because I haven't actually done any comic books. I'm assuming, or I mean, I did, but it was like a long time ago.
Let me go ahead and zoom in on this so we can really appreciate.
Yeah. Bring this up. This is maybe when I was a junior in high school.
Someone's gotten a lot better. Someone's gotten a lot better.
Hey, I was pretty proud of that lava.
Yeah, that lava is very, very doomed too. This is good, man. You've come a long way.
Here, I had another piece with lava in it. I'll just do one more. Share one more with you.
Do you have anything recent with lava in it?
This one's a lot better. This next one.
Let's do the before and after.
Oh yeah, you know what? I don't know if I do have anything recent with lava in it. Here, but this is this next one. I think similar. It's similar.
Were you like a huge fan of Doom?
I probably.
Let's get this open.
It's funny. I did a speaking engagement gig recently at Syracuse University, which is where I went to college.
Yeah.
And one of the students was saying, one of my professors, John Thompson, was showing us some of your old work back from college. And I was like, oh no, like, that doesn't sound good. I hope it was only the good stuff.
Yeah.
And she said, oh no, it was great. She said, it was great seeing that stuff. It really gives us hope.
No, it's true. I wish more people would show their old work so people understand that you're not just born good or born bad, because people still think that talent is a thing. They don't understand that this is just a muscle and that if you work hard, anybody can get good at it. So it's like, I wish more people would show their old stuff so we kind of dispel that. I pulled up one of your more recent things just to show the contrast. I pulled up the Bird Lady.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. It's I like showing the old stuff. I mean, this was like I said, early 90s, and I was experimenting, with digital painting, and there weren't that many options. There was this thing called, like I said, Autodesk Animator and I was on bulletin boards at the time, and these like art groups.
Yeah.
I was probably playing a lot of Doom at the time, or whatever. Although that may have been before Doom, frankly. I have to see. Wow. 90. When did Doom come out? Because we're
like
talking
90. I don't know, like 92 maybe.
Okay, maybe yeah. So yeah, I probably was playing Doom.
Right when computers started being like something people might actually own.
Yeah, but no, I think you're right. I think it's something that, and I think when I was in high school, I remember I had a lot of doubt about actually having a career in art. I didn't know if that was something I could actually do.
Yeah.
And then I remember doing this one still life piece in one of my classes, and it kind of it was the first thing that I remember thinking, hey, that's not half bad. Maybe I could do this thing.
Yeah.
This art thing, and then, but I still kind of couched it a bit. I'm like, well, I guess I'll go into digital art or something, and maybe I'll, or computer graphics or something.
Right.
And then when I got to Syracuse in '94, you take your core art classes, drawing and painting and sculpture and all that stuff, and one of the things that happened in the course of my first year at Syracuse was a lot of people, said, hey, if you really like drawing and painting, which it seems like you do, you probably don't want to go into computer graphics because you're going to end up doing a lot of programming and, and animation and stuff. And so that's when I decided to switch to illustration.
That's cool.
El Chapo, I do live streams. I don't do them. I need to be doing them more often. But it's been hard with my schedule lately. But I do them actually on Noah's live stream channel. I did one yesterday. I was going to do another one last night, but had to cancel, and then I was going to do another one tonight, but no one was showing up because I think everybody's over here watching Dan Warren do.
I'm so sorry.
Paintovers. So it's okay.
Maybe tomorrow night we can do a Game of Thrones pre-game show.
Ooh, yeah, maybe we could do that.
Pre-game. Because game's in the title. Get it? Get it?
Thrones,
you get the joke? Oh, God.
I get.
So, in the interest of fairness, here's one that I did before I knew anything. It's a knight who's leaning. I don't know why. This is apparently a fist. There's a skull in his helmet. I don't know. He's got Mega Man boots. Mega Man boots. Yeah, this is fucking awful.
That's way better than this is what, high school?
This is like high school, yeah. Let me go see if there's anything else.
Man.
Everything. Okay, so I used to upload everything to my AOL FTP, and then they deleted all of the servers, so everything's gone. Like everything from everything from high school is gone.
I would have been so jealous of you.
Come on, dude.
Man, you do awesome nights.
Let's look at this evil wizard, who is apparently, I don't know, the darkest thing I've ever painted. Wow, I can't even see this. This is nuts.
We can't see it either.
I'm trying to pull it in here. Ooh, gee, some Sonic the Hedgehog fan art. Because I was a kid.
Yes. I think I did a lot of Mega Man fan art.
Yep. Yeah, Mega Man fan art was the shit. Ooh. Look at this evil wizard. You don't need anatomy when you paint wizards because of magic.
I'm not seeing anything.
He's like, ooh, I don't understand wrinkles and folds. Spooky.
Wow.
Good times.
I would have been very intimidated by you in high school.
Ooh. Oh, God. Good stuff. Good stuff.
But, the thing is, you have to, you have to experiment. You have to try things out. The more the more failures you have, the better chance you have of successes.
100% agree. I 100% agree.
And in order to increase your success rate, you have to increase your failure rate.
Should I keep the blue or should I get rid of the blue?
I like the blue. I think without it, it seems too monotone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yep, okay. Let me get this eraser in here. Drop some opacity. Kind of rein it in a bit. All right, cool. So, yeah, just gonna keep rendering this. I don't know what you want to talk about, but I'm glad to have you here.
No, I'll just let you know when you're messing up.
Okay, good. Please do that for me. Let me go over to a color. Yes.
So this past week has been about trying out different mediums.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of experimenting with different mediums when you were first getting into art, or were you just all digital right away?
When I first started really getting serious, I only used Prismacolor markers and ink. I would use colored inks with a pen and a brush, and I would use Prismacolor markers. And me and Dave both did that. We used to collect Prismacolor markers, and we'd actually work with the same set because we were hanging out and drawing every day. So
sure. No, I remember the magic of that.
Yeah, because they had this color. I don't know if anyone in here is going to know what I'm talking about, but me and Dave, like many people, basically when we started drawing, all we did was anime. That's like all we did. And Prismacolor markers had this color called light peach that was the perfect skin tone for anime. It was the perfect anime skin tone. So that's what we do. We just buy light peach ones constantly and draw really shitty anime. And I wish I could show you, but all of our stuff got deleted off the AOL servers.
So, but you don't have the actual physical drawings anymore?
I had a lot of them, and when my pipes burst, they all got destroyed.
Oh shit!
Almost every drawing I did in high school and college got destroyed when my pipes burst.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. I didn't tell you this.
I knew a lot of stuff got destroyed. I didn't know that all it.
Oh yeah, almost every drawing from college and high school got completely destroyed because osmosis. The stuff on the bottom got wet and it just went up through the paper.
Right.
And it was just gone. But yeah, I still have a little of it, but not much.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of my old stuff, but when we moved from Baltimore, I decided to do a purge, and I purged a lot of the really bad stuff. But I kept a lot. I've got a lot of old work from high school and even earlier. I still have all my sketchbooks from starting in like junior high up till now, which is I think about. I've got somewhere around 30 sketchbooks or 35 sketchbooks from, starting in either junior high or freshman year in high school up till now. Yeah. And I'm always so paranoid about them. I'm always so paranoid about, like just that very thing. It's why I actually had a professor at Syracuse who was teaching abroad one semester and in Italy. And while he was gone, his entire basement flooded, and it was, where he had his studio. But I guess there's nowhere that's 100% safe.
Right.
I'm up in an attic now, but who knows? A hurricane could come through and rip the roof off my house and blow everything away.
Exactly.
But so I remember the Prismacolors. I experimented with those. I also, when I was first starting to try to get serious about art, we did a lot of colored pencil stuff. So me and my buddies would get those set of the Prismacolor color pencils.
Well, that was the cool thing about Prismacolor. You could put your base colors down with the markers, and then put the colored pencils over it, and it worked super well.
Yep.
Like they dovetailed nice.
I remember using those a lot for drawing our D&D characters and stuff.
I'm glad we both have that shared background.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then one year, my stepmother, who unfortunately passed away last Christmas, she bought me a set of technical rapidograph pens.
Yes.
And I remember at the time I was way into. I was playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. It was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition, and back in those days, the monster manuals were in these like binders, like these 3-ring binders, and you could pull them out and rearrange them and all that stuff. And all the illustrations were these black and white, pen and ink drawings, and I just remember being so inspired by those, and then having my own pens. So I started sort of drawing my own, monsters for the monster manual, and putting those into the 3-ring binder and adding in my own ones. But that was when I think I first sort of fell in love with line and line work, and then I spent a lot of time in those days in high school at Games Workshop. We had a Games Workshop right across the street from my high school.
Oh, wow.
And spent a lot of time over there, and that's when I discovered one of my favorite artists, Ian Miller. And all of that work that those illustrators did for the Games Workshop books, like for Warhammer 40K and Fantasy Battle. Like that stuff, I mean, all this extremely detailed pen and ink, black and white stuff, I loved it.
Yep.
So that's stuff that I absorbed a lot in that period and was a big influence on me. So I kind of avoided a lot of other mediums like charcoal or pastel. And, occasionally was forced to do so by my high school art teacher, but I usually resented it. But then I got in college and I started experimenting, and they make you go through your core classes in the first year. And I think it's great because, like I was saying, one of the great things about experimenting with different mediums is that you might find out something about yourself as an artist when you try a different medium. Try out charcoal, and you might find you love that how dark you can get and how chunky you can draw with it, which is totally not my thing, but it might be something you never realized that was something that you enjoyed. And I tried oil paint, but I hated it, and so everybody else loves oil paint, but I did not like working in oil paint, but I tried it.
I tried it too. It was acrylics for me. For some reason, acrylics were the thing that stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Acrylics and watercolor.
Because you could work faster, I guess. And because I like drawing on top of the painting, and you can't really do that with oil.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. No. Exactly. I'm with you on that. 100%. I'm trying to. I'm doing a big painting. It's going very slowly, but I'm doing that very thing. I'm going to work in acrylics and then sort of go back over and draw over it.
So,
a lot of line work.
I wanted to ask you, since you live relatively close to me,
yeah.
Did you know that Brian Froud was the special guest at IMC this year? Because I didn't know that, and I would have gone.
I didn't know. Well, I think maybe I'd heard that several months ago, but I had forgotten.
Oh, God. I keep seeing all the photos going up of him and his wife drawing goblins and making dolls, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I know. Oh, well. He has this thing that he does every year in France. He does his own week-long IMC, painting workshop. Where, I mean, actually, I think it might even be a little bit more than just a painting workshop. I think it's a, seeing and drawing and painting fairies kind of workshop.
Right.
With him and his wife. And you go to this, medieval village in France. And, I don't know, I was kind of toying with the idea going.
Let me know if you want a +1. I'll be there.
Yeah, it would definitely be an experience, right?
If I could draw fairies in a castle with anyone, it'd be you. So, take that however you want it. That would probably be a pretty good time. He seems like he seems like a cool dude.
He seems like an interesting guy, definitely.
And he kind of made my childhood, so it'd be nice to shake his hand.
Yeah. When I finally sort of after the fact was able to get a copy of the drawings and paintings he did for Dark Crystal. It was like Christmas. It was like Christmas again.
Mm-hmm. That Dark Crystal book is so good.
It's really, really good.
I found it when I was in London, and I bought it on the spot.
When were you in London?
A long time before Amazon was a big thing. Like before you could just get a book. I was over there and I
Yeah.
was like, the Art of the Dark Crystal. It was like one of the old '90s presses of it, and I just bought it.
Yeah.
So,
Is this boring, everybody?
sorry everyone. It's exciting to have someone to talk to on here because I usually just go monotone and drawl on and on and on.
We're reminiscing on our childhoods, even though, I don't know, our childhoods were probably 10 or 15 years apart. But so many similarities, right?
Yep.
How old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 27.
Oh, okay. So exactly 10 years.
There you go. 27, going on
yeah.
40.
So did you like me play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons?
Okay, this is where I admit some terrible things about myself.
Oh.
I never played D&D. My cousin played D&D religiously, and I had to stay at his house all the time. I watched him play a ton of D&D. My friend, when I was a kid, had another game that Wizards of the Coast made called Everway. Which,
what?
yeah, Everway was awesome. He had a game called Everway that was kind of like D&D, and we played that. And it had, like, instead of dice and stuff, it had a tarot set. And you'd pull a card, and it would say, like, war. And it would have an illustration of a dude representing war. And whichever way you drew the card, if it was upside down, it would mean one thing. And if it was right side up, it would mean another. So if you did an action and you pulled a card, and it was war, it would say domination and success one way. And then if you flipped it over, it would say failure and defeat. The two sides of how you can win a war. And it would determine the action. But the art in that game on the cards was like a huge influence as a kid because it was sweet.
Huh.
Really, really sweet.
Everway, it was called?
It was called Everway.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, you can find the cards on Google. You can find a bunch of them. But yeah, Wizards of the Coast made it, and it was a fun game. But no, I never actually played actual D&D. I had the Monster Manual for a while because I borrowed it from my cousin, the original one, and it was it was awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, and, you know, the D&D books and all had a huge influence on me as well, just from the art aspect.
Yeah.
And all those, like, you know, RPG games. What the thing that I'm a little, that bums me out a little bit about when I look at those kinds of books these days is it's mostly, you know, full color illustrations. And I don't know, I loved the black and white stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess they call me old fashioned, but I don't know. There's something about it that left a little bit more to the imagination, and and also just that there were a lot of different styles. Nowadays, I look through the books, and everything kind of seems a little more cohesive stylistically.
I think
that also kind of bums me out. I also love seeing like lots of different artistic.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I also like people are going to interpret this however they wish to interpret it. Hopefully you understand what I mean, but I feel like the best way to do D&D is to maintain a little bit of lame. Like, when everything's trying to be really cool and, like, the armor's, like, super, you know, crazy and detailed and spikes everywhere and, like, the monsters look perfect and they get these huge battle axes with designs all over them. It's like, I really like that 70s, like, Frogman, and it's just a frogman in a dungeon. Like, that feels cooler to me because it's lamer.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird, like, gelatinous cube. It's like, it's a cube of jelly, don't get stuck. It's like, that's spookier to me than a rat holding the sword. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
Like, it should be lame.
We should try to get, we should try to do some Spelljammer campaigns. Did you ever see Spelljammer? You know what that is?
Oh, God, I remember Spelljammer. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. Do you think collectively, if we got a small group together, like 3 or 4 people, 5 max, that have done work for D&D, Pathfinder, that kind of stuff, do you think we could get permission from them to do a Kickstarter to re-illustrate the first Monster Manual?
That would be freaking amazing. I don't know.
Do you think we could get permission from them to do that, maybe through them, and just crowdfund it?
would we need permission? Is the question. Because
if we
a lot
made
of
money,
those monsters were based off of mythology.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. I think there's. We looked this up last week. We were talking about this. I think there's 15 in there that they own, like the Beholder, that kind of thing.
I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, it gives them some exposure. I mean, that was it's interesting because I worked on the MMO Dungeons and Dragons Online,
right?
And that was the big thing for them because that game was set in a new world called Eberron that they had just kind of released, and so the only thing that they were concerned about as far as the licensing was concerned was the monsters, and that the monsters had to look almost exactly the way they did in whatever the current version of the monster manual was.
Right.
Which in some cases was okay, and in other cases it was really hard to work with.
Yeah.
We had several back and forths about things like this, the size of the nostrils on the kobolds and stuff.
Right.
Those are the kind of things we went through with licensing and the D&D online. So I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious.
Because I'd like to do it total free reign.
Yeah.
We just see the original illustration, use that as a basis, and redo it, and not have any input from any kind of AD. Just let the artist go crazy.
That would be awesome. But we would definitely probably have to get permission, especially if they were monsters that were unique to D&D.
I mean, we could do it for fun. It would just take forever, so we kind of need to make it an actual project.
Yeah, that's a really great idea, though.
I'd love to. We could get so many people in on that. It would be amazing.
I know a couple people that work Wizards. Probably ping them to see who the right person would be to ask. Have you done any work for D&D?
I'm going to try to. I've done a ton of work for Pathfinder, but I never applied to D&D.
I've done it.
Like the Pathfinder and the tabletop game that I've been working for have kept me so busy that I haven't needed work.
Uh-huh.
So I did a bunch of work to apply to D&D with, and then I never did it because I have too much work as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really do want to work for them. I really, really want to work for them. I don't have a window yet.
I've done maybe about 20 or so illustrations over the years for various D&D books, but most of them are assignments where it's stuff that's already established. But probably my favorite thing that I ever did was a monster that was a brand new monster, and we don't have any reference for this guy, and it's probably the best piece I did for them. And it was this it was an undead creature, some undead manual, or book about undead creatures, and it was basically, I think it's like animated shell or something like that. It was basically just a shell of skin that walked.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But that's always the stuff that I'm better at. Is the stuff where it's we don't have any reference for this. This is a brand new thing. I tend to not be as good at the stuff where it's take, here we need, this guy with this specific armor and these specific things fighting these 3 different specific monsters, and they've got to be in this specific place. Those kind of assignments are a little tougher for me. Some people, a lot of illustrators are really great at doing those kinds of assignments.
They're kind of just plug and play. You don't really make anything up. You just grab the references and put everything in the right spot.
Yeah, I tend to not. It tends to not flow as well for me. But I guess just different kinds of assignments for different kinds of people.
Right.
But no, I think that's a really neat idea. I mean, I love I even beyond D&D stuff. I remember there was this game called, and I'm sure it's still around, Rifts, which had a lot of really cool art. I remember Keith Parkinson had done some paintings or covers for Rifts. It was really interesting. It was a sort of sci-fi RPG. There was a lot of stuff about. It was a mixture between sci-fi and magic, and there was creatures from different dimensions that were coming into your dimension. And we played a lot of GURPS as well, and the different modules for GURPS.
Yeah.
We did a lot of I think, cyberpunk GURPS. So, we went through it all. And, we spent lots of time in lots of different friends' basements playing various games.
Yeah.
But when we got into 40K, that was obviously more about, collecting and painting the miniatures. Or at least initially, that for me, that's what it was about. And I chose to do orcs because they were the coolest. You could customize them, the most of any of the different armies. And but what I didn't realize was they were the most easily defeated army, despite having numbers on their side. Like Space Marines, would just throw a couple frag grenades and like half my army would be wiped out. And so there was a lot of arguing and a lot of debating rules and stuff. And that's the one thing I remember about playing Warhammer 40K.
Right.
Just a lot of arguing and debating. So it didn't. I didn't do that as long as I played Dungeons and Dragons because it just ended up getting frustrating after a while.
I think I was like, I'm trying to remember. When my cousin played D&D, I was pretty young. I was like 6 or 7, so I was at that weird age where like it was like fascinating to watch them play it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I didn't really understand how to do it, but it was like really, really interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tabletop stuff is the funnest job I've ever had. I've never played a tabletop game in my life. It's the funnest job I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm doing some illustrations right now for these guys in Italy. They've got it's like a tabletop, miniatures type game, and it's really a lot of fun. It's called Clockwork Paladin, and it's totally up my alley. I've been swamped with other work, so I haven't been able to work on these illustrations for them as fast as I had wanted to. But now that I'm clearing some other stuff out of my schedule, hopefully I'll be able to do some more pieces for them quicker. But it's like totally, fun stuff for me, and I hope these guys are able to get some funding because I think it looks like a really cool game, and the stuff they've been producing so far is innovative and different than a lot of the stuff you see out there. So
right.
I'm excited to see where they go with it. But yeah, this is I guess this is my second game that involves sort of doing concepts for miniatures, for tabletop-y kind of stuff. The other one is a game that's going to be announced fairly soon, but 3D Total is doing it. It's a board game, actually, but it has miniatures with it, and it's called Wizards Academy.
Cool.
So we're doing some designs for them. But yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff. There's so much excitement, I think, going on right now in indie games, board games.
Oh yeah, like
tabletop games, all kinds of.
Like that's the cool thing about tabletop games and indie games and stuff like that is that there's not like they have a very dedicated, relatively small fan base.
Yeah.
So for a huge company to come in and really innovate on tabletop games, it's not financially worth it. But with something like Kickstarter, little companies that really love them can make a huge profit because they don't have to think of it the way like a big company would.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's like prime time for all that stuff right now, and it's going crazy. It's really, really cool to see. But oh yeah, real quick about the paint over I'm doing, just for anybody watching on demand. I grabbed a quick reference because I felt like without this, it felt like this guy was throwing fire at this dude. It felt like he was the bad guy and he wasn't really being summoned. I grabbed a quick reference from Halloween of Michael Myers being burned.
I was going to ask you what that was from, yeah.
And I'm just making the flames kind of come up around his body so he's more emerging from them than standing behind them. So that's where I'm going with it for now. But yeah.
Awesome.
I'm very proud to announce that Steve Lichman is officially viral on Imgur right now.
That's awesome. I love Steve Lichman, man.
Thank
You
you.
guys hit gold, I think, with that. Absolutely.
I'm like so happy that people like Steve Lichman. I'm like, it's incredible to me. I'm so happy.
Well, it's personal, right? I mean, there's so much of you
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Dave in these stories.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know, we kind of were just doing them for us, and people really like them, so it's really cool.
Great. Yeah, keep going. Don't stop now.
So,
Are you guys doing one like every other day or something?
yeah, we're timing them. We stopped for a bit because of E3,
Oh,
because nobody was around. Like
right.
everybody was watching E3, but
So what's the division of labor?
we both write it. We both figure out what the panels are going to be and like what words are going to go where with what image. And then Dave's so fast at doing comics because of Starvale, he can get it out really, really quick. So then he draws it up. But yeah, we do everything right up to the point where he draws it, and then we look at it and do a final pass, and then it's out. So.
And Dave's in Colorado, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You guys just Skype and
oh yeah, yeah. Skype's a great thing. Skype is a great thing.
Yeah.
And Google Hangouts and all that other stuff.
Did you going back to sort of reminiscing about stuff? Did you ever watch those old Ralph Bakshi cartoons back in the day, like Wizards or his Lord of the Rings movie?
Oh yeah. I've seen all those. I leaned towards the Rankin Bass stuff, but I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff was really cool.
That being kind of influential, especially the Wizards thing, and even heavy metal. That first heavy metal movie.
Right.
That came out. Man, that seems like it was so long ago.
I still can't believe how perfectly South Park nailed heavy metal.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't see that episode that was like a huge tribute to heavy metal?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh,
I wasn't a huge South Park fan. I don't know. I never caught the wave.
It's okay, man. It's okay, man.
Thanks for backing me up.
Not everybody has to like everything.
That's true.
I'm a huge proponent of not everybody has to like everything.
So, can I ask about the other project that you and Dan were working on, or you and Dave rather were working on?
Sure.
I mean, how's that going?
Skull and Shark.
Okay.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
We're working on a few things. We've put it on hold. We put a thing up about it the other day.
You did?
Yeah, it's on hold now because we want to do it right, and we were restarting it too many times.
I gotcha.
So like we had restarted it like I think 6 or 7 times.
Whoa.
And just thrown all the pages away, and like because neither of us have ever done comics before.
You guys are quite the perfectionists.
So like we want to do it right. We don't just want to make a mediocre thing and put it out. So.
Sure. No, that's understandable.
So yeah, yep. It's on hold, but it'll come out. We just want to make sure it comes out the right way.
So we need to get back to figuring out when you can come out and visit here in Kingston. How's your July looking?
My July is nice and empty. I've got a birthday on the 17th of it.
Yeah, because I mean, I the only thing I have in July is, well, in the first part of July, I have a surgery that's probably going to put me out for about a week. But
okay.
And then late July, I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, right. I totally forgot that was happening.
But middle of July, I think, love to have you come out and visit.
All right, sure, yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out, definitely. Been meaning to do that.
It'd be fun just to hang here for a week and
definitely
draw
and not be in my apartment, which is an amazing thing to do. If you've got any crits for this paint over, feel free to weigh in. I'm just kind of going into render mode here until I get it to a place where I want to stop, but yeah.
I'm still thinking maybe it could benefit from some other subtle hues, even the areas that are mostly being lit by the fire.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I don't know. I mean, again, it's such a strong light source, and it would drown out most of the other colors for sure. But I'm just worried that maybe it's a little mon. Although when I'm looking at pictures from Mike Myers on fire over there.
Well, that's in a room. This guy's huge, so we can play with it a bit.
Maybe some other light sources behind him, or I mean, because you got that little bit of that subtle blue, but
let's try it.
The other thing might be is some reflected light on the rocks and stuff in the foreground, like from the fire.
Yeah, let's figure out the rocks. That's a good place to start. Oops.
What's he doing with his hand?
I'm gonna figure that out. I put the hand in there because it was in the original piece. It was kind of just coming up and then getting cropped off the top.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not entirely sure.
A bit of a tangent there.
Yeah. I might recrop the placement a little bit and make the hand doing something else. But yeah, so let's make this.
Is the artist whose work you're painting over is he or she in this?
I don't know. If this is your piece and you're in the chat right now, sound off so we can talk to you in real time. That'd be cool. If you're here. If you are not here, then you're missing out. If you're out having a Saturday night, enjoying your youth.
Right. Yeah, what's that about?
Huge mistake. You could have got a crit in real time on your fire summoner.
Should be listening to two nerds, doing a paint over your
piece. How dare you?
Talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Is what you're doing right now out at the bar with members of the opposite sex nearly as cool as me talking about playing Everway in 7th grade? No. No.
And my first set of Repetograph pens?
Yeah, definitely not. Duh.
Those things were real bear to keep maintain those old Repetographs. You had to disassemble them all the time and clean the insides because they would get clogged up.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. Those things were really cool. I used to get them at Michael's all the time.
Mm-hmm. They're expensive too. At least.
In the chat. What? I have to download software to livestream on livestream.com. Yes, you have to download Livestream Procaster. It's a broadcasting program that captures your desktop and streams it to the server on Livestream. You have to have
free.
it.
You don't have to pay anything for it.
Yeah, it's free. It literally devours your RAM, but it's free.
Yeah. What's the whole thing about? You get that little notice about running on Arrow?
Arrow?
AERO. It says, looks like you're not running an Arrow or something. And it changes because of the color scheme on my desktop or something.
I don't know. I've never had that. No.
All right. I don't know what it's about.
I never had it.
Just say yes.
Oh, it's the new transparent windows.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that. Yeah, Livestream for Mac is notoriously shit. Livestream for PC is a much better experience. I have a Mac, and live streaming with it is incredibly difficult.
You're on a Mac, huh?
Yep.
Have you always been on Macs?
Ever since the first time I used one, yes.
Interesting.
Ever since I went to school, basically, to college, I've been on a Mac.
Kind of got a bad taste in my mouth on Macs when I worked at a web design firm in New York, and they were all on Macs, and I had so many, it would crash all the time.
Yeah, people have really mixed experiences with them. I mean, I don't know everybody. I hear lots of people tell me they crash all the time, but I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah. Well, then I must have been using them wrong.
I mean, whatever. You've got a good option. If you don't like Mac, you got PCs. I mean, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
The debate between Mac and PC is largely just about everyone's individual experience, I've found.
Oh, yeah.
It's not based on anything real. The only thing for a while was that Mac could claim that they had better graphics. The graphics cards were better.
Yeah.
Clarity of the image was better, but I don't think that's true anymore.
The only thing I've experienced that's actually substantially different is that I've never once had any kind of virus or malware problem ever.
Yeah.
That's really it. Everything else is pretty much the same exact experience, except you can't play games. Which, if you're a freelancer and you want to save some time, get a Mac, because you can't play games.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So one of the things I'm going to say on this piece is another area that would be good for getting some reference would be the foreshortening on that arm.
Yeah, I bullshit that.
That area where like the upper part of the arm kind of goes into the armpit and the shoulders, especially if the arm is raised, it's always really tricky. I've always found that to be a fairly tricky area.
Yep. It's
but once
pretty
you
bad.
figure it out, once you get it, usually reference helps. I don't know, that kind of clicks.
Yeah. For the purpose of the paintover, I'm gonna keep kind of. I don't know if I can find a perfect reference for that.
Yeah. That's when it's better to.
Yeah.
Someone to pose.
Like I said in the beginning of this, if you have a friend who's willing to pose that you can actually set a light up on to get it right, you're better served just doing that. Yeah. All I had was this anatomy model, so I shot some reference from that, but it's not a perfect solution. It's okay for the paintover, but it's not a perfect solution.
That's a cool anatomy model. Was that by the people that do the one that where you see all the bones and the skeleton and stuff?
Yeah, I want to say it's the same people that did the course model.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. I might slightly recrop this piece up a little more. Tiny bit more. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, what's new, man?
Not much. I mean, we're still kind of moving into this new house. I think I might have an intern.
Cool.
I'm sort of, in exchange for doing some private tutoring, she's going to come and help me get all my Kickstarter stuff, wrapped up and over the summer.
Right.
And she's a local student. She wants to improve her skills in digital painting and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But I need somebody who can help me kind of like get this stuff out the door.
Right.
I'm sure my pledgers are getting impatient. So I need to just hard balancing this with client work and then also moving into this new house and all the projects we've had here. I just recently got some reprieve from one of my clients for about a month, and so I can kind of catch up on things with other clients who are waiting on stuff.
Cool.
And then my hope is that between now and IllexCon, I can do at least one or two new paintings. We've got two in the works right now.
Right.
So, because I got into the weekend salon, but then I've got conventions and stuff this summer, except New York Comic Con, obviously, but except that's not the summer.
Yeah, which is still fucking weird to me, but
I don't. It's funny. It's the same people that do C2E2 in Chicago.
Yeah.
And at first, I had applied for that too, and they said no. And then later on, they got back to me after I had changed my plans for that weekend and committed to something else. And like, oh, well, we had a cancellation. Would you like a spot now at C2E2? And I had to say no, because the other commitment I had.
Yeah.
But Peter Moorbacher did that convention, and he said it was actually really good. But then he got turned down for New York Comic Con.
Weird.
So
Pete being turned down.
I mean, I think they're starting to run out of room at that.
Well, it's even weirder that Pete got turned down because he's like a regular Magic dude.
Right, and he's done a lot of conventions and
Okay, that's really strange. Because I have friends who strictly just do fan art who go every year and they get a table every single year and all they do is fan art. They don't even work on projects, which is fine because it's a great place to sell that and it's a great community. But I don't understand why you're not on level footing as those people.
It's weird. I asked one time what the criteria was that they looked for, and everything that they sort of listed was. I was like, okay, I've got a check there. Okay, I check. Yes, my work is unique and different. Check. I have entertainment industry experience. Check. And I'm like, and so I couldn't quite figure out. Well, so where did I fall short?
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. Who knows? I'm not a known entity in the comic book world.
Weird. You got to sell the rights to Gateway to Vertigo or something and get it published on a bigger scale, and then you can go.
It's possible. I haven't heard anything this past week, but it sounded like Diamond is interested in distributing my book. Actually, both books.
Have you contacted anybody at like Dark Horse?
No, I haven't. But I wanted to get some sort of distribution nailed down first.
Yeah.
And then I'll start sending copies to publishers and stuff. But I've got a couple interesting projects actually in the works for Gateway, Gateway project number 2 or 3, they're different projects, but all 3 of them are collaborating with other people, I'm very excited about where some of these are going.
That's good.
And it's kind of interesting. So, one of the projects would involve actually hiring a lot of different artists
Sweet.
To work on it. So I'll tell you about that some other time when we're not live.
Oh yeah, if you'd rather not talk about this on live stream, just let me know.
But no, it's a matter at this point of figuring out which project to go with and which ones, can I have 2 projects, Gateway projects running concurrently?
Yeah.
Or do I need to kind of divide up the time? The more I get into Gateway and the more I think about it and the more I think about my struggles with doing client work, the more I just want to find a way to just work on Gateway.
Yeah.
And just spend a majority of my time working on and building that world because
that makes sense. That's where the passion is.
Yeah, but obviously getting there is tricky, and I don't want to still have to make a living at the same time. But I want to work towards that. I guess is the idea. Is being able to just do my own work. And that's the dream for all of us, I think.
Yep.
Be able to find a way to just do our own thing and have people say, yeah, okay, I'll pay you to do that.
Turn what you do in your free time into the career.
What's that?
Turn what you do in your free time into the career.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, look, I've being able to work in the game industry and do concept art and illustration and stuff like that, it's already a dream come true. It's just a matter of, you're always wanting to figure out what the next thing is, and then, what's the next level up,
Yep, I hear you.
Well, you have to, the one thing that I would tell students or people that want to get into these industries is try to find a way. Don't force yourself into something that just because you think it's cool or it's something that you think would be fun to do, but it ends up being like not fun for you. If you can't find a way to make your professional work something that's interesting to you to work on, if it feels like work, if it feels like a chore, then that might not be the right path. You maybe find another way to approach it.
Yeah.
And that's like what I was saying about freelance commissions, the ones where I'm given more free reign to sort of invent and create new things are the ones that I find more interesting and are more fun for me to do. So that's why I end up, most of the work that I do ends up being more like concept art. Like that's the kind of client work that I like taking the most is the concept stuff, because I'm getting to invent new stuff and I'm not having to redraw or repaint stuff that's already been established.
Right.
But like I said, there are other artists who for whom the joy and the passion is in crafting the image, and the subject matter isn't necessarily some like different artists can work on different types of subject matter, but there are some great illustrators out there who I'm very jealous of, who can take other people's characters or other established things and make these beautiful illustrations that are unique and different and interesting, but yet still adhere to the licensing or whatever, the specifics of the assignment.
The design document.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really just a matter of finding your joy in whatever it is that you decide to do, and recognizing whether or not it's a chore or not. Because after a while, if it's too much chore, too long, then you get burned out pretty quickly.
And then I stand back and I go to Google and I realize slowly, much to my dismay, that I'm basically just painting the Game Genie.
Let's see it.
Should have been the Game Genie.
The Game Genie.
Here you
What's
go.
the game?
We pulled this up here. Should have just made this Game Genie fan art. God damn it. God damn it! It's all good. We'll get away from the Game Genie.
Close.
Ah, damn it all.
Not quite.
So, in the original, I can't tell. You might want to look at it on the forum so it's in high def. I think this guy has horns. Are these horns? And then wings, I think. I think this is supposed to be a wing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe? Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I think it is horns. I think it's like...
horns and wings? Okay, let's get into that and get away.
Weird, sort of strange cropping. I'm wondering why they crop so close to the head. Because then you can't see those cool horns.
Yeah, let's add some horns and wings, I guess. Do that.
This, this reminds me of something else, too. I'm going to see if... I don't want to bum you out even more. But
No, I don't care. Go ahead.
It reminded me of... something else. Let me see.
I'm sure there's no shortage of huge red demonic men on the internet.
There's a couple things here. Okay. I'm going to send you things that it's reminding me of.
I'm going to look at my favorite horns for reference here, which is Tim Curry in Legend.
It's funny. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to suggest as inspiration.
Yep.
Those are the best demon horns.
Best horns in the business.
Ever.
Yep, best horns in the business. God. That movie. That movie.
Yeah. I love the movie. I know there's some cheesiness.
It's the same thing we were talking about earlier with D&D. The lameness is what makes it so cool.
Yep.
Also, if anyone's not seen it and they go watch it, make sure you get the one that doesn't have the Tangerine Dream soundtrack. Get the Goldstein one.
See, I like both.
The Tangerine Dream one makes me want to fall asleep.
Yeah, I sent you something on Facebook chat.
Oh, let's go take a look.
Reminding me of some other stuff.
Oh, that D&D cover, right. Yeah.
A little bit.
Sweet.
A little bit.
Holding that treasure bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that treasure bowl is.
Full of treasure.
Okay, let's get in here and doodle some horns. So yeah. So how's it going?
No, I'm not going to answer your question. I'm just going to awkwardly sit here and be very quiet.
Damn it, Sean.
It's going fine. How's it going with you?
It's going good. It's going really good. I've been penciling again, finally.
Penciling what?
All kinds of personal work that I can hopefully show within the next week. I spent the whole day yesterday scanning everything.
I'm excited.
Let me click over to this suit of armor man over here, and I'll zoom in very slowly, and then I'll switch back over to this painting.
Okay.
All right, he's gone.
Ooh.
I want to color some stuff.
I like it.
Someday.
That was cool. A little hint there. A little peek.
Little peek. Marjorie says you could say that those horns were on point, and then I ban her from the chat. And then she's gone.
Trying to see if there's anything I can show. I don't want to show any of this client stuff until they're okay with me showing it. I got it going on.
Big spooky fireman.
Yeah, I really can't show anything.
It's okay.
Once I get back to these personal pieces, these paintings,
We understand. We understand.
Yeah. Yeah, man, those horns. I mean, what a crazy costume that was.
I know, like, jeez. You know, there's only one thing about that movie that I hate.
Which is what? Other than the Tangerine Dream soundtrack?
No, other than the Tangerine Dream soundtrack. They,
let me guess.
Try and guess. It's one thing that makes the whole movie feel bad, and it's at the end.
Oh, it's at the end.
Yep. It's really, really annoying. And if you never noticed it before, I almost don't want to tell you, because it's going to ruin it for you.
Toward the end. See, I always forget what happens in the end.
It always makes me laugh my ass off every time I see it, because it's so stupid.
Well, tell me.
Don't tell you?
Yeah. No, tell me.
Okay. Because the Tim Curry makeup took so long to do.
Yeah.
There's a scene where they're sword fighting at the end about, you know that scene where they have the sword fight in front of that gate?
Yes.
During that fight, there's a bunch of quick cuts to Tim Curry when he's swinging his sword, and it's not him. It's a guy wearing a mask that doesn't move of what that face looks like because they had to do reshoots. And
really?
Yeah, it's a plastic mask that looks like that monster, but it doesn't move, so it's just making this one face. And every time they cut to it, it's the exact same face, and nothing's moving, and the eyes look like plastic, and
Weird.
it's really, really weird because the whole movie, it's super organic and it looks real. Like that costume looks real. Like it's crazy how good it is. And then at the end, it's just like a Halloween mask, and you're like, oh.
It must have been a heavy headgear that he was.
Yeah, and he had to wear those stilt things in the shoes, so he had like the the demon feet.
Yeah. You know what movie I loved from sort of the fantasy movie from the 80s that I don't hear many people talk about is Excalibur.
Oh, Excalibur's my favorite.
It's great.
A
That last scene,
dream to some, a nightmare to others.
Where he's fighting Mordred.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever.
Stabs him through the, and it's like all silhouetted against that sunset, and you see the guts, like coming off the end of his spear. I mean, man, nobody films things like that anymore.
No one. That guy's the best Merlin that ever existed.
Oh yes, and again, more of that. Exactly what you're talking about. A little bit of that campiness.
Yeah,
I think
that's what makes it awesome.
They don't make. I mean, again, I'm gonna sound like an old guy here, but nobody makes movies that are shot like that anymore.
No.
Where the camera, where you have some shots every now and then, like at the height of the action, where the camera is not moving.
I'm trying to think of what's my favorite part of that movie. There's so many good parts.
Yeah, I think the fight with Mordred is just really great.
I know what it is. It's the part where that dude is going to find the Holy Grail, and he comes up to the tree, and it's all dead knights that are being hung from the tree.
Yes.
And then Mordred comes out as a little kid, and he's wearing the gold armor as a boy.
Yeah. So creepy.
And he's like, ha 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 ha, and like all the dead dudes in armor are swinging around.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome. That movie's so good.
It is.
And that one actor plays Arthur through, as a kid, as an adult, and as an old man.
It's crazy.
That's really good. If you guys haven't seen Excalibur, you should watch it. It's really, really good.
Totally watch it. And it's got the soundtrack, some of the soundtrack is the O Fortuna.
It's Wagner. It's O Fortuna and Wagner's Twilight of the Gods.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Good movie. Yep.
Yeah, man. I don't know, and all of. I just wish some movies, some directors would stop moving the cameras around and just let us see, some really well,
But what about King Arthur with Clive Owen? That was pretty badass, wasn't it?
It was good, yeah. I have to go back and watch it. It's been a while since I watched that one.
Just trust me. It's the most badass movie in the world.
I think what I didn't like about, well, I mean, this is kind of stupid, I guess, but I think I liked Excalibur so much, and that I think that one bothered me because there was no real magic in it.
It was badass because he tricks the Vikings into coming onto the lake, and then he hits it with a sword, and it cracks, and you're like,
right.
did it. And it's like rock and roll music playing.
I'll have to go back and watch it with a clearer head.
It's badass. I mean,
okay.
Whenever I say something's badass, I'm making fun of it. In case people don't understand that.
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you didn't like it?
Keira Knightley wears thin straps of leather around her boobs. I mean, I guess you could watch it for that. I mean,
You could watch all 4 or 5 of the Mummy movies. How many are there?
I actually like the first Mummy movie because it's so bad it's good. It's campy as shit.
It's got that every movie nowadays that has some sort of CGI monster in it. Just go back and I think somebody could test this for me and see if I'm right. But I think every movie that has a CGI monster has this one shot in it where the monster sort of comes up to the camera and screams, and the mouth, kind of opens, and you get a shot of almost just the open mouth, and there's like the tongue and the thing in the back, like wiggling around. Like, there's always that going up to the camera and screaming into the camera shot.
You know what started that?
What?
Lord of the Rings.
Maybe. I don't know. I think they were doing it before that, though, man.
Really? You think it was before that?
I think so. I mean, Hellboy has it. Um, uh, King Kong has it. That was obviously after Lord of the Rings. But, I mean, just anything that, I think, anything that's got a CGI monster, although I guess maybe it was Lord of the Rings. You're right. I think about it.
I think it's when the Balrog jumps up and the camera zooms in from the ground and goes up and he screams and all the embers come out of his mouth.
Well, yeah. Well, and the first Mummy has it, too. I think there's a shot with, I think somebody's going to have to go and do a montage of all the shots like that.
Real quick, does Star Wars have a shot like that?
Let's
go way back. One of the first. One of the original.
Well, but they don't have CGI monsters.
Well, yeah, I didn't know if any of the monsters had that shot, though.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe the Rancor.
Yeah.
There's probably the Rancor. But
I sent
it
you.
became this thing, I think, with CGI creatures because, it's like, well, they spent, the artists spent a lot of time creating, these CGI monsters and, with the inside of the mouths and the teeth and everything.
Right.
So they want to show off, the work. And so you've always got that shot with the monster, like, screaming right into the camera.
Yeah, it's a lame shot. I sent you a book I bought on Skype. You can click through it for free. But I bought a physical copy of it, and it's like the coolest thing ever.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, the more the art there.
Yeah, the illuminated one.
Yeah, oh, very cool.
It's got a lot of cool 2D design stuff in it that you don't really see anymore.
This is what I want to do. I want to do an illuminated manuscript for like some book in Gateway.
Yeah, that'd be great. A book within a book.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh yeah, of course, because we're doing paintovers and this is for art camp. If anyone in the chat has questions about absolutely anything for me or Sean or both, just ask.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, we're kind of like...
If we're left to our own devices, we're going to talk about all kinds of shit. So if you want the conversation to go a certain way, just tell us and we'll happily take care of that. Alright, so wings now. What am I going to do for wings? Let's see. Let's see. Well, let's take a look at what they had for wings first. Okay, so really, really like bat wings. Okay.
Looking forward to box trolls. How about you?
I am too, yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. Okay.
Oh, you know what? It's not a CGI monster, but maybe it was Alien that started it.
Oh, with the mouth. Yeah, when the girl gets like raped in the hallway. Right. Right. Yeah. And it does that reveal where the second one comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think you're correct.
But then, like every monster movie since that.
Yeah, everything's had it.
With CGI.
Yeah, wow, good call. I would not have thought of Alien.
Because they do like Clash of Titans and do it when the Kraken at the end.
Yeah, everything has to have it.
Everything does it now.
Even the fucking even the squid in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies had it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where it looks down its mouth and it screams at him. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely everything has that shot. Jeez, that's depressing. Should his wings go up off the canvas completely, or should I have?
Yeah, no, I think you could have him go off then that sort of makes him seem bigger. I think
it'll make a cool little halo.
Like this, you can't get a shot big enough because
in
there.
Right.
Actually, I got an up close look at
pull them into the foreground.
At owls today because I took my son to this event over in the park, and they had these people that were bringing out these live birds to look at, and it's amazing how wings are I think are some of the hardest things to draw, of any type because of how much they fold up and compact.
Yeah, they're really crazy when you look at the skeletons.
Yeah, I mean,
they're nuts.
You think about, you look at an owl and you think, well, it's not much bigger than, let's say, a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And then they open up their wings, and it's 4 or 5 foot wingspan.
Yeah.
This small thing. And actually, I've been learning a lot about dinosaurs. My son's been way into dinosaurs lately, and even the biggest of the flying reptiles, the sort of pteranodons or whatever, this thing called the Quetzalcoatlus. Its wingspan is something ridiculous. It's like 30 feet, from wingtip to wingtip.
Yeah.
But yet, they estimate that the creature didn't weigh any more than maybe 100 pounds or 150 pounds.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about. Something with a wingspan that big, but yet being so light. And I think it's just there's a difference between a big creature, a big monster with like a lot of mass, and then something that just has like these like folded up wings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting. I don't know. That's one of the things I think I'd love to get better at painting and drawing is wings. And so I'm going to be doing. I want to do more like studying of bat wings and bird wings and stuff.
Right.
Because I think it's one area where everybody just assumes. I think I make the mistake of assuming that I know. What wings look like on this or that thing.
Yeah.
And when you get, but if you really know your stuff, you can make your creature stand out from the rest by having more realistic or believable wings, even if it's a weird monster.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wings are just crazy. So technical.
Yeah. Yeah, and Angel, it does have a lot to do with bone density. All the flying reptiles and birds also have hollow bones. So that also has a lot to do with it. You're right.
I'd like to point out very quickly that this is kind of becoming a Brahm composition, which I think is okay. So I'm going to quickly show his painting Horned God with the underlight and the male anatomy and the horns and the wings and the very, very iconic composition. So I'm going to pull that up and just reference it. And then,
I love that Brahm was not afraid to do these very symmetrical compositions.
Yep.
I mean, it's funny, a lot of times you hear, there are sort of little things that you hear maybe an art teacher in high school said, don't do this or don't do that.
Yeah.
And one of the things about being a great artist or a good artist and is to be able to know when to, ignore those things and try things out and make your own path, break the rules.
Right. Yep. You got to keep in mind that when you tell people that are beginning not to do certain things, it doesn't necessarily mean that people that are a little farther along can't do them.
Yeah.
It's like master the rule and then break the rule kind of thing.
Exactly.
Because, yeah. No, yeah, Brahm's great. I love that he's just always been Brahm.
Yeah.
Because so many of us, especially with the jobs that, the kind of jobs you get doing the sort of freelance most of the people listening to this are doing, you have to be so many different people, and you have to work in so many different styles.
Yeah.
And, it's just crazy. And then when you see something like, Brahm's work where from start to finish the whole time he's just been Braum. It's like really refreshing.
Right. Well, and he, I don't know if it was luck or what, but he was one of the things that I think really set him apart was one of the first things he did was he illustrated this new D&D world, the Dark Sun world, and he basically defined the look of that through his artwork, and it was, Braum being Braum, and also creating, doing illustrations for something that hadn't really been established, and those are like the sweet spot kind of assignments in my opinion.
Totally.
Working within a framework, but a slight framework, something where it's like, yes, this is our product, but we have this whole new section of it, and we don't know what it looks like, and we want you to help us.
And then I'm gonna go out on a limb, and people might hate me for saying this, but gotta be honest. Some of the most boring work I've seen Braum ever do is when so let me just preface this so you understand. Diablo 1, Braum does work for it, I think. Diablo 2, he definitely does work for it, for all the covers and the expansions. And it's just him being him. Diablo 3, they hand him designs that Blizzard did, and they said, make Braum paintings out of stuff that we did. And it doesn't work. Like, they're well done. They're beautifully done paintings technically, but they don't look like Braum paintings. There's a weirdness there where, that World of Warcraft design influence that came into Diablo 3 does not gel with Braum. So that's the kind of thing. When you have a person like that, you got to let him be that.
Right. Yeah. Let Braum be Braum. Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was really unfortunate when I saw those. I was looking forward to it because I thought maybe he had a hand in the design part, and that's why. But no, it was very clearly just Blizzard designs. And again, not shitting on Blizzard, just saying, World of Warcraft is not Braum.
Right. You and your opinions, man.
I know. I have to be honest.
Must you?
I have to be honest. I don't know why. I guess I don't have to be. Everything everyone's ever painted is great. So I'm going to get off of here, because nothing needs improvement. Everything's awesome. I'm Dan Warren, and this is how I feel. Everything's wonderful. Who cares? Goodbye.
The end. Well, and it is. Sometimes you think, wow, this is a small industry. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Am I going to get in trouble? Or something.
I hate that.
Upset at me, but you know what? That's if we're human beings, and we all have opinions, and that's what life's about, right? I mean,
right.
And if you're holding back, and then no one's learning anything.
Right.
Everyone held back their opinions, and no one would learn anything.
I mean, really, the entire genre we're working in for fantasy art is basically built on the premise that you can improve the same idea 50,000 times.
Yeah, exactly.
How many goblins and wizards and dragons have been drawn, and how many people have said, I can do that better than that guy, to get us to where we are right now.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
I mean, and one of the reasons why I decided to do Gateway was because I'm looking at everything out there, and I'm going, I don't know that I have anything new to contribute to dragons and goblins and elves. I mean, I've worked on games like that. I've worked on video games that had that kind of stuff. And it's fun, and it's a dream come true to be able to paint. I mean, when I was in high school, all I wanted to do was paint dragons.
Right.
And I've done that. It's probably not the last time I'll ever paint a dragon. But when it came to what do I want to put out there myself, I decided let's do something different. And I've worried that at times that when I say things like I don't want to do standard fantasy stuff when I'm doing my own personal work,
right,
that people are saying that I think that I'm shitting on that stuff. But
well, everybody's
I love classic fantasy. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I grew up on. I mean, it's. I love dragons. I love goblins and elves and stuff. But but I want to see something new. I want to see new stuff, and I want people to invent the next goblin or dragon that's going to be the thing that people will talk about and try to mimic in the future.
No, everybody's ready to interpret everything everyone says as, the most extreme version of it.
Yeah.
So you can't, just don't even worry about it. It's going to happen no matter what you do.
Right. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm gonna take off here, and it's been fun, but
it always is.
We'll have to do this, more like, maybe sometime this coming week I'll do some paintovers and you can just talk.
Oh yeah, it's midnight. Shit, yeah.
Take apart whatever.
Suddenly, yeah, I'd love to. Let's definitely do that.
Okay. And for anyone watching, I'll make sure to post on the artcamp when I'm doing my live streams. And sorry, it's been sort of inconsistent. I have a lot of catching up to do. I've got to talk to Noah about that. So.
Any last words of wisdom on this particular paintover before you depart?
Yeah, I think it's looking great. I like the addition of the wings. Definitely. Cool. Maybe getting a little bit of like translucency in those wings with the fire kind of. Cool. And maybe you could see some of the veiny.
Oh yeah. That's a good idea.
That would be kind of cool, but no, I think this is awesome. Maybe even obscuring a little bit more stuff. So I mean, where there's smoke, where there's fire, there's oftentimes there's smoke. So I don't know if there's some way you can add a little bit of atmosphere in there with some smoke.
Yeah.
Smokiness, because it's feeling a little too clean from that aspect, I think.
Mm-hmm. Let me grab this bat.
I think the original piece the artist was trying to do sort of this. Can you go back real quick to the?
Yes, I can. And I will.
It looked like there was some smoke sort of swirling up, so the creature sort of coming up out of a swirl of smoke.
The white?
I don't know. I go back to it because I don't remember.
Here it is. I see some in the background. I can't tell if it's supposed to be light.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe not. It just looks like the creature's sort of emerging from fire, or it's swirling around them, whereas now it's kind of feels like the smoke, or the fire rather, is like it's just in front of him.
Right.
Maybe somehow incorporating that fire a little bit more.
I think it's this big one in the front that's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get rid of this very, very cartoony flame that's in the front.
Cool, man.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, that's fun. I always like hanging out with you.
I feel the same for you. Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
I'll see you.
Bye.
And then I was alone. But it's okay. This paintover doesn't have too much farther to go. I've been painting for a little over 2 hours, so 20 minutes maybe, and then I'll be off of here. Because it is after midnight where I am, so I should probably start winding down. So let's incorporate this flame into his body a bit more. And then I'll probably get off of here. Make it look like the flames are climbing. So if anyone has anything they'd like me to talk about or questions or anything before I get off of here, we are coming towards the end. So feel free to post those in the chat. And I will do my best to answer them before I get off of here. But, yeah. little bit of transparency and bleed here in the wings. Not so much on this side, so it crops the arm. I'm glad your salsa turned out good, Marjorie. That's great. It's fantastic. Question from Angel. When going about from imagination portrait in this self-portrait week of art camp, one, does it need to be realistic like one's... Okay, I'm misunderstanding here. When going about the from imagination portrait in this self-portrait week of art camp, one, does it need to be realistic like one's self-portrait? I would imagine so, but I'd have to go look at the specifics of the assignment. Keep in mind, Art Camp is a collection of instructors. Noah's assignments that you guys are doing, I could go look at it and probably answer the question for you. It should be apparent. He's usually very good at the descriptions and stuff. I'm mainly doing paintover and portfolio stuff, but yeah, if anyone in the chat has an answer to that question, it'd be great if you could post it. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it should be obvious from Noah's post and the work that everybody else is doing what you should do. If it's from imagination, I would imagine he wants you to get as close as possible to reality. That's just my assumption, though. It's probably an exercise in, you know, what you know versus what you don't know. Question on portfolio building? Yeah, shoot. What's up? This might be the most dramatic paintover I've ever done in terms of what it was and what it is. I've changed. I've kept the theme, the colors, the general stuff, but almost everything is different. So I really hope this works when whoever painted it watches this on demand. I really hope that this makes sense and that it's something you can use. If not, I really do apologize. I'm trying to make something that's going to work a little better in your portfolio while keeping the same basic stuff. But yeah, I really, really hope this is something that you can run with. Get some light down here. So my final year of high school is coming up, and I just do not really understand what it means to build a portfolio. I don't know where to start or how to go about it. Okay, well, it's a relatively easy question to answer. It's going to take a lot of work, but think about it this way. What kind of job do you want to have when you come out? Is it character design? Is it concept art? Is it illustration? Is it graphic design? Is it comic books? What do you want to have? And then once you decide what you want to have, for the sake of this argument, I'm going to say concept art. But if you do know what you want to be already, please tell me in the chat because I can answer it based on, your answer. But actually, I'll wait. Tell me what you want to be in the chat, and I'll talk about how to build that portfolio so it's specific to you. Comic books, dabbing, and character design. Okay, well, for a comic book portfolio, think about what comic book artists do. Because to get a job doing comic books, you're going to want to do what professional comic book artists do and have that stuff in your portfolio because, common sense, that's what they want to see. That's what the professionals are looking for when they're hiring people to do those things. So you want to fill your portfolio with relevant stuff that those kinds of people are doing. So comic books are what? They are character designs, they are narrative pages laid out telling a story, and they are covers. And that's pretty much it. Every comic book is those three things. It's the characters, it's the narrative cells showing what those characters are doing, and it's the cover. So what you want in your portfolio is character designs, narrative pages, and covers. So a good portfolio is usually either 5 incredibly good pieces if you're a professional, or if not, the standard is 10. 10 solid pieces makes a portfolio, give or take. So you want 10 pieces in your portfolio that you feel are showable that will get you the work that you want. So right off the bat, I would say that you should divide it up into probably a 4-4-2, or I'd say do 4 interior pages that show the cells and really show that you can tell a narrative and what's going on, and then do 4 really, really tight covers that are very well rendered and a little executed, more executed than the interior pages, and then do 2 sheets of character designs with, multiple characters on it and show your design skills on those bonus 2. Because more often than not, you're not going to be designing the characters for a comic, you're probably going to be handed a character and being told what to do with it. So, that's a little less important, but they still want to know that you can do it in case they need you to handle something like that. So, you want to have a good amount of pages that show that you know how to do an actual comic that reads narratively. You want to have covers that show that you can sell a comic, because covers are what sells the book 9 times out of 10. So you want to have that really strong cover, and then you want to show your design sensibility. So that's your portfolio if you want to do comics. So yeah, in regards to anything, any job in art or entertainment or anything like that, just look at what the artists in that field do and then base your portfolio off of those things that the artists do. If you see a recurring thing like a lot of characters, you know that you're going to need characters in there. If you see a lot of landscapes, you know that you're going to need some landscapes. Look at the people that are doing the job you want and then imitate what they're doing in your own voice. And that's going to be what ends up making your portfolio. I hope that helps. It's an easy thing to answer. It's a harder thing to do because 10 pieces is a lot of work. Oh, good. I'm glad that made sense. I know it's really tough, especially when you're in school, because most teachers don't know how to a portfolio should be an expression of you and blah 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 blah. And it's no, it really shouldn't. It should be a job application, and instead of special skills, you should just show them all the skills that it takes for that particular job in the portfolio. It's they don't care about anything else. They don't care about your personal statement and blah 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 blah. Illustration is a commercial medium, and comics overwhelmingly is a commercial medium. There is some indie stuff here and there. there's plenty of room for personal voice, but to get into it, there's really two routes you can go. It's showing them exactly what they want to see and building a portfolio around that, which is what I just described. Or it's go 100% the opposite direction, be completely indie, start a webcomic that's entirely you and see if it catches on. The second one is really risky, might not work. The smarter idea is probably to go through a mainstream comics company, get a job doing that, and then once you've made a name for yourself, branch out and do the thing that you've always wanted to do. Because then you'll have a following from the comics that you did when you were working on, Spider-Man or Sandman or whatever big IP it is that you're known for. So then when you do your own thing, those loyal fans are going to follow you to it, and you're going to be more likely to be successful. Yeah, so that's what it is. A portfolio is literally just a collection of stuff that proves to the art director, who's going to be your boss, that you can handle the job. So yeah, there you go. Any other questions before I get off of here? Would I suggest secondary school for someone with less experience? No, I would not. Not for art. Art is a thing that you can get better at without school. It's just practice, hard work, and studying. For comics, you're going to need to do a lot of pages, really, really, really learn your human anatomy so you can draw them fighting or in other poses and stuff like that. You really got to learn that. But going to a secondary school for comics doesn't do anything for you, because people that hire artists at comic book companies don't care if you have a degree. The degree means nothing. It's only the portfolio. A person with no degree and a really good portfolio is always going to get a job above somebody with 10 degrees and a shit portfolio. They don't care how many schools you went to if you can't meet the requirements of the job better than the next guy. They're going to hire the best possible person no matter what. So school doesn't necessarily make you better, but what it definitely does do is drain your cash. You're going to have to take out a bunch of loans. It forces a few years out of your development. You're going to have to take 4 years off to do whatever. That's all time you could spend drawing and making a portfolio and doing freelance and really getting your teeth in the industry and making contacts and getting out there. So I would say overwhelmingly the best decision, especially for comics, is not to go to a secondary school. Self-teach, learn the skills you're on your own, and just attack that industry head on your own, because you can totally do it that way. And if you see one thing, especially with comics, if a lot of your favorite comic artists growing up went to school and you think that you should because they did, keep in mind that most of them are probably 40 or 50 right now. And art school was very, very different in the 70s and 80s to what it is today. There weren't nearly as many. And the ones that were there were doing a much better job with very relevant people that were working in the golden age and silver age of comics and illustration. Not so today. Very, very different environment. So just keep in mind that where they trained is as important as when they trained. It's kind of like saying, I should go study art in Italy because the Renaissance happened there. And it's like, yeah, but that was like 1500, 600 years ago. It's like 600 years ago. It's not really relevant. So. Well, that's the thing, is that if you're afraid that you're not as good as them because they started super young, so they have more experience than you, even if they started super young, it's like, let's say it took them 10,000 drawings to get as good as they are, and they spaced it out over the course of 20 years because they're 22 and they started when they were 2. You can do 10,000 drawings in the next 3 years and catch up with them. You can work harder than they did and catch up with them in the race. You can actually surpass them in the race if you work harder than they did, faster than they did, more than they did. That's a question of how bad do you want it and how hard are you going to work to get it. You can, it like them having a head start on you means nothing. You can always outpace them. You can always do more work. You can always get there quicker. It's just a matter of, are you going to do it? That's entirely on you. Some people treat art like a marathon and other people treat art like a sprint, and both are valid depending on the individual. It's just a question of, do you want to do a little work here and there, have a life, keep it casual, and maybe get to your peak when you're like, 35, 40, 45? Or do you want to just go crazy right now, study your ass off, and have a career and have all that shit when you're 25? It's like, it's up to you. It's sacrificing those years to get it sooner, or having those years and getting it way later. But it's the same amount of work either way. You're doing the same amount of work. It's just in one scenario, it's all compressed into a very small period of time. But it's the same amount of personal development. It gets you to the same place. So now I'm just going to level this out a bit. I think it looks more like he's coming out of the flames now than a flame being in front of him. Hopefully it does. I'm going to level this out a bit, and then I'm going to get off of here. Oh yeah, of course. I'm here to answer questions. Anything and everything. Feel free. That's literally what I'm here to do, so. I'm going to darken some stuff and lighten some stuff real quick just to make certain areas pop. I'm going to really deepen this blue to force this guy forward. Now I'll answer anything. Anyone who's watched my live stream knows that I'll answer any question, so feel free to ask it. I don't care how weird it is. I really don't care. Let's see here. Yeah, that's better. Having it darker works much better. I feel like there's definitely a painting from one of the old Tolkien calendars of the Balrog that looks very similar to this. There has to be. For those of you that don't know, back in like the 70s and 80s, there was a thing called the Tolkien calendar, where all the best fantasy illustrators of those decades would contribute to it. And they just do scenes from any of the books that Tolkien wrote, and every year they'd put out a calendar. It might still be going on. I just know that in the 70s and 80s there were some really great, like, classic fantasy illustrators working on it, like the brothers Hildebrandt and those kind of people. But yeah, Ted Nasmith is one of my favorites. Alan Lee, all those people. But yeah, there was a whole lot of cool interpretations of stuff that were very, very interesting. That was before the internet too, so you could really only see that stuff in the calendar. It was a cool thing. I remember being a kid in like '91. I was like 5 years old, and my mom was like a huge, huge book person, and you know she was already like reading The Hobbit to me and my brother and stuff like that, and she got the Tolkien calendar every year, and I just remember looking at those illustrations as a kid and being like, "There's nothing like this anywhere." Not at the library, not like nothing. Because the internet wasn't around. And you could just be, it was just crazy because it was the only place you could find that kind of art was in those calendars for a small town kid like me. So it was cool. It's kind of cool because you can look back at those illustrations now. They kind of existed in this weird bubble that I'm going to call the age before criticism. The no criticism era. There was no internet, there was no snarky comments, there was no 4chan, there was nothing. So these artists would get together and put out this product, and it was just everything in it had to be good by default. Even the stuff that by modern standards is bad, even that stuff back then was the shit. Because fantasy art wasn't a huge thing, and only a few people were doing it. There was, it was a very small club. It was like 50 people max were doing it in the United States. So everything was good because the standards just weren't there yet. Everything was just done by this collective. And it's just really cool to see like the kinds of stuff that they would do you'll never see today because people would be afraid that it's a dumb idea or like it's just that fear of being taken seriously on the internet is there. So these people they don't make the same kind of decisions anymore. They don't think they're going to get away with X, Y, and Z. So it's just not there. But it's cool to look back and see that stuff and realize, oh, this person was alone in a room painting this, and they just put it out into the world, and that's how things used to operate. Hey, Black Lotus. Yep, more paintovers. 10 hours a week of paintovers. You get them on here. this up a bit. So again, for the person who painted this, I'm going to be getting off of here. When you watch this on demand, keep in mind that I'm basically just trying to find a way to improve this technically and make the concept clearer and just make it a more stark and obvious illustration based on the elements that you had put in the original. If this doesn't work and this is totally off base and it doesn't look anything like you wanted this to look and it's just whatever, I understand. It's okay. And let me know in the forum so I can maybe try again and get it closer to what you want. But with this paint over, I'm looking at it in terms of what an art director is going to see, what a fellow artist is going to see, and also your technical weaknesses for where you are right now based on where you're trying to get. And I'm critting it based on all those things. So I'll click it on and off in just a second, and we'll look at everything and do a quick discussion, and then I'm probably going to go. But I really hope this helps at least somebody watching this who wants to take their stuff to the next level and might be having similar problems. It's not done, because that's not the point of a paint over, but it's got enough here that you can now take it to that next level and finish it and hopefully learn something from it. So let me tighten this up right here, and then we'll zoom out and take a look. So I'm going full screen. I could render the fire down here for ages and not be done with it, so I'm just going to leave it alone because it's just kind of this really, really fun thing you can just paint forever. I have a really hard time with that stuff. I love to zoom in and just, go crazy with the little stuff like flames and chainmail and armor designs. And there's so much freedom with fire that you can just do whatever. But, yeah, so I'm going to try and back off of that right now. And, we'll do an on and off. I'm going to duplicate your bottom layer and then flatten what I've done to it so we end up with 2 layers. And yeah, there's my grids. His head is still on that pretty much, so I didn't free transform for the added canvas, but it's close enough. So yeah, this is my oh, one last thing. One last tiny thing is this finger up here. Feels a little unresolved. Now keep in mind, I had to fudge some stuff with the hand and the arm to just, I couldn't pose it myself and get it accurate. And it's close, but it's a little wonky, so just keep that in mind. You definitely want to get a good reference for that when you actually do it, but for the sake of this paint over, and getting it to you relatively quickly in under 3 hours, I'm going to leave it where it is for now. But yeah. So again, closer. Just want to get this crisped up so it feels like it's popping the right way. Alright. Cool. Alright. So just looking for any last things. I'm going to really, really sink this mouth down so it's more of a frown. There's a little bit of what could be seen as a smile going on, so I want to kill that. Okay, so my paint over of your piece. Wizard, flames, demon, horns, wings. First, we recomposed it so things were falling on a fourth and a fifth. Then we made sure that everything was balanced on the left and right side versus the center. Then we went in and we started wrapping the flames around the body. We took a shot of the model I had and made sure that the body made sense with the lighting. Brought the wings forward, popped the arm forward as per your original piece. And yeah, rendered it away. So, a couple quick things just so they're not jarring. Soften the edges on these rocks here, because the foreground rocks we really just kind of quickly tossed in there. We probably should have spent more time on that, but yeah, you get the idea. But yeah, so I hope this made sense. I hope you learned something. I hope it helps you finish the piece. And feel free to let me know in the artcamp forum on the chat or anywhere else. Yeah, because the whole point is to help you out here. So if it is doing it, I'd love to hear it. And if for whatever reason it isn't, I would also love to hear it. But yeah, just looking at this real quick per the anatomy. Bring some stuff up, turn it down. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. I'm going to get off of here now. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for those of you that asked questions. Thanks to Sean Murray for coming on here and talking to me and helping me out with the paint over for a bit. And yeah, I look forward to doing my next one. Either tomorrow night or Monday will be the next one. And real quick before I go, I wanted to know this whole time if it would be cheesy if he had white eyes. I think, does the Fantasia guy have white eyes? He's got yellow eyes. I think it's, I don't know, I think it's too much. I think the white eyes is too much. I'm going to leave it eyeless and foreboding. Bye, everybody. It's been fun.